Greetings, my fellow YouTubers. This is a shot of whiskey, and this video will be responding to a series of videos done by the channel Planet Dolan. For those of you who aren't aware, among the different things that they do is they make videos based off of responses that they get from some of their followers on their Reddit channel. Which, yes, I will be providing a link to their YouTube channel just in case you want to check that out. In the meantime, here's what I've got for you.
The most embarrassing things somebody has seen us do.
Back when I was in high school, I was on the wrestling team. My junior year sucked, so to prepare for the senior year, I chose to meet up. I took a weightlifting class during the end of my junior year to give me a head start. This class was more lightweight type stuff though, which is why half of the class was girls. In my opinion, only one of them was attractive. She had a lovely face, a pretty smile, though a bit petite for my personal tastes. Now, I bring this up because it's relevant to my overall response. After class, we would go down a hallway to the locker rooms, which these doors were locked from the outside. One day before class, we left the door propped open so we can go right in. Once in there, I chose to get naked and check where my weight was at. Now, I was kind of happy to see the progress I had made. Then I got off the scale and noticed that the door was still propped open, and the one attractive girl saw me in my full glory. This was the first time a gal saw my dick since I hit puberty, so I tried to play it cool, like nothing happened. What's weird, I think it failed in a good way, because during my senior year, she joined the wrestling team cheerleading squad and went out of her way to talk to me. Now, if she wasn't already dating one of my friends, and if she didn't have the same name as one of my sisters, I might have made a move.
The most awkward ways we have tried to flirt.
Now, I don't normally flirt. I usually have this worry that any attempt will lead to some feminazi screeching at me. This story I'll be sharing with you took place at my mom's church, which I think makes this even more awkward. I was 19 at the time, and I saw a gal in a group with one of my sisters and a friend of ours. This gal had a gorgeous face, nice lips, a slender but not too petite body, and tits. These things had to have been an E-cup. So I started talking with them, said hi to the new girl, and at one point asked if she'd like to get something to eat. The others started laughing at me, which, of course, I asked why. I was expecting them to say she was a lesbian. Nope. Instead, they told me, "She's 11. I called BS right on the spot, because she was way too hot to be 11, but for whatever reason, she had state ID and proved to me that, yeah, she was 11. Now that I'm 35, I see an 8-year gap as not being a big deal, but at 19, that gap would have made me a criminal. So from then on, whenever I saw her, I tried to see her as a kid. No, not that type of kid, this type of kid. It wasn't easy, but a few months later, her family stopped going to that church, and I haven't seen her in over 15 years. I wonder what she looks like now.
The worst things we were ever caught doing at school.
Since elementary school, I've always had this weird territorial thing with urinals. Not that I thought I owned one, but that I only liked using specific ones. One time in middle school, I went to the potty and someone was using my urinal of choice. So I just used another one. I finished shortly after he left, and once I had flushed, I noticed that it sounded different. Curious, I flushed the middle one, and it too had a different sound. Now, since I was alone, I decided to play music with the flushers. I was having a good old time when a kid that didn't like me saw what I was doing and threatened to tattle. Now, I had forgotten to wash my hands as I bolted out of the bathroom, hoping not to get caught. The next day, I found out from a friend of mine that the teacher he went to didn't allow him to tattle, saying, "You went to the bathroom, and now you're back. Go sit down." This was also the last time that kid ever spoke to me.
The coolest things our siblings ever did for us.
A few years ago, my ex was in the hospital because her water broke. After being there for 2 days, I called one of my sisters to take me home. Not the one from the previous story or the one that shared a name with the schoolmates, but the other sister. Nobody had tended to our cats this entire time, the poor things. So when I got home, I made sure to feed them, and I was almost done with the litter when my sister got a call from the hospital.
It is time.
Of course, I didn't want to miss the birth of my child, so my sister drove us back like a bat out of hell. Hopefully we didn't have that cliche of a cop pulling us over and asking what's the hurry. We made it in time. I was able to watch the entire 8 minutes of labor. Yes, officially it only took 8 minutes.
The dumbest things we've done while drunk.
This one's going to be somewhat boring as I've only been drunk once. A few years ago, my roommates decided to talk to some friends of ours into taking me out because I was really stressing out. What I was told was that we were drinking because one of the other guys needed some drinking buddies. We went to a local pub, had some drinks, along with some nachos, some chicken wings, and a shit ton of free bread. It was then that I was told that this night was actually for me. Now, nothing special happened while we were at the bar, but upon me getting home, I ended up slipping into some mud, which I completely covered my left leg. I went inside and took off my pants, not because I was drunk, at least not in my opinion, because that's what I usually do when I get home anyways. I don't like wearing pants when I'm home. I then told one of my roommates, who was my son's mother, that I wanted to fuck. And I even specified a certain type of fucking. And I hope by this picture it's obvious to you guys what I mean. The next morning, she told me that apparently I am a horny drunk. So I told her, so nothing about me changes at all. Yeah, I know, it's not the best drunk story, but it's literally the only one that I have.
The weird things that happened to us when we were home alone.
This is another tough one to think about since it almost never happens to me. Usually, anything even close to this happens when somebody is home with me, such as a roommate who is drunk out of their mind and pissed off about something. The only time that I can recall that this applies to me was when I was a teenager, during one of the rare times where I was home alone. My family decided to drive off to the coast for 3 days, and I didn't want to go. After all, my family at the time was nothing but women, which generally tends to ruin vacations for me. Plus, I was still depressed about my best friends being arrested for murder. I won't go into details on that right now, but I will say that I knew they were going to do what they did because they told me in advance. During one night when they were gone, I woke up to the sounds of sirens. For a moment, I was panicking because I thought that the police were coming to arrest me too. I calmed down once I realized that it was just a fire truck. I tried to go back to sleep, but an ambulance went by, sirens blazing again, freaking me out all the more, followed immediately by a cop car. But oddly enough, this time I was relieved. I think I realized that they were following the others somewhere else. I never did learn what the commotion was about, but thankfully it wasn't for something that I had done.
The cringiest things ever said to us.
This isn't the cringiest story that I could think of, but it was the first one that I thought of that was also funny. It goes back to my days working at Taco Bell, back when I was a shift lead. Our store had 3 Mexican employees who were also siblings, 1 brother and 2 sisters. The brother came in, waiting for his paycheck to arrive, when a sexy young woman came in and started talking to me. It was clear that she and I knew each other. Once she left, he came up to me and said, "Man, your girlfriend is hot." He was correct that she was hot, but not correct that she was my girlfriend. I told him that that was my baby sister because, well, she was my baby sister. I was hoping he would have backed down at that point, but no, he did not. "Really? Oh man, I'm gonna marry her." I laughed and said, "Dude, you're not her type, trust me." He then called me a Spanish word that I had never heard before. Cuñado. "You could be my cuñado," he said. Thankfully, the checks arrived, so I gave him his and sent him off. One of his 2 sisters was working at the time, and she asked me what we were talking about. I told her that he called me a cuñado, and the reason why. She smiled. Smiled! It turns out that it means brother-in-law. While I didn't like the idea of him being family, every single Hispanic employee there started calling me that the next day, including the assistant manager. So in a way, it wasn't that bad, but still a little awkward.
The ridiculous reason someone broke up with us.
I was engaged for about 5 months before we found out that she was pregnant. About 4 months after the discovery, we were arguing about the wedding details, such as the date. Along came the first of the month, and I had paid our rent using some stupid online service option instead of the normal check. As such, when it came to the 5th, we noticed that the rent money was never taken out of the account. She started to panic about us becoming homeless, and I tried to calm her down, saying, "Let's talk to management and sort this out." She accused me of not taking this seriously and then ended our relationship. She vowed to move in with her aunt and to never let me see our child. Thankfully, I was able to get her to agree to continue living with me, but the relationship was a lost cause. It took some time to get over it, but now I see this as the greatest success of my adult life. Next to having my son, of course. Well, that's the month of May as far as Planet Dolan is concerned. What do you guys think? Do you like this idea that I've started doing, or should I just abandon this because it's a stupid idea? Go ahead and let me know in the comment section, guys. I would really appreciate it. Bye.